Hey everyone, it's Alan and welcome back to the Rawlo report. So I've just seen a headline that's quite shocking. I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't realise it had gotten this bad. And the headline was to do with cash usage in the UK. So I thought I'm going to have to look this up, right? So bear with me, I've got them wrote down, but I wanted to go through some statistics with you which proves how fast we're moving towards this digital world and how we need to take a little bit of time to think about it. So in 1995, 85% of all purchases were done with cash. Makes sense, right? We're a cash society. Cards are just being introduced. By 2000, it dropped to 76%. By 2014, it was down to 48%. So at that point, cards have taken over and we're just under now half of all transactions were done in cash. Fast forward to say 2019, it's now 23%. Just a few short years later, in 2024, it's 9%. I was looking at future projections as well. So by the year 2033, it'll be as little as 6%. 2034, it'll be at 4%. You get the idea, guys. You get where this is going. And I just want to flash out some warnings. So I get it. People do this thing. I work in retail and I see people do it all the time, right? And they go, oh, cash is mucky, I've got to deal with all these coins, have to count it out, I have to get change back. Where do I put this change? Oh, it's such a slow process. It's not really that inconvenient, guys. Come on, just to have some change around isn't really a big deal. And I get the fact that one beep of a card and it's actually a bit faster. But you need to think of the long-term ramifications of this process. Look at Keir Starmer, look at the UK, look at the type of government that we have. We have a far left, radical, fucking totalitarian madman in charge who hates the indigenous citizens and wants to replace us. You only have to look around to see that that's his goal, to replace the actual English people and British people in their own homeland, right? So if all the payments in the UK go digital, number one, this guy's a madman for tax. He wants to, there's an old expression and it was, the way to destroy people is you grind them between the millstones of inflation and taxation. Well, we already have the inflation in the UK. Everything's going up. Food, rent, how much you spend on your home, just everything's going up. And then between that, this guy just wants to indiscriminately bring in taxes. And there's always an imaginary black hole in the economy that they need to fill. So there's going to be budget after budget where they continue to look to take our money. They don't really care. The money's going in the bin as far as they're concerned. It's not about that. It's about modifying your lifestyle. So you earn less, you get used to less, you get used to a lesser standard of living. That's all these madmen are about. He's a globalist who's working for special interest groups and they're not our groups. They're nothing to do with us. They don't benefit us. It's for people who want to see us punished and want to see our way of life destroyed. So that's all this guy's working towards. That's what he's not really trying to fill black holes. Common sense shows you that. In the UK, if I was in charge, all of a sudden, and I needed to get to grip of the UK, I'd stop foreign aid, I'd stop foreign nationals receiving benefits, I'd stop the climate change nonsense where we've dedicated about 30 billion towards it. The list is endless. I'd stop sending money to the Ukraine war. If you wanted to, you could get those bills down quite quickly. It's not rocket science. It's basic income and expenditure. You look at what you're spending your money on. Does it benefit the UK? No, it's going then. Does it matter if people start screaming blue murder, start screaming that you're a racist because you're stopping foreign aid? Who gives a shit? You just do it. You get rid of it, right? But he's not doing that. If anything, he's finding other ways to spend your money on purpose to create this backdrop. The guy's a madman. But the point is, when you give governments that and they know how much you have, they can now drag you into different tax brackets and they can look to take more of your money. Eventually there'll be a wealth tax. That's what they want to introduce in the world, which will be things like how much your home's worth. Oh, we've decided that your home's worth £500,000, which means you have to pay this amount per year. You have to pay £10 because you're very wealthy in our eyes. And you go, but I'm not looking to sell that house, or I'm not looking to sell that asset. I'm not looking to sell my stocks. Yeah, but we've seen that they've gone up in value, so you need to pay us tax. That's their That's their way that they want to keep you down. They hate the idea of you getting any type of wealth or any type of foot in the door to grow as a person, and they hate that, and they love the idea of smashing you down. So if they can see everything that you've got, that's like a globalist wet dream. That's their wet dream, you know. And then on top of that, when you're digital, they're going to introduce a transaction tax. You already think about, we already have it now. If you go to a small business and they have that little terminal thing that you beep, pop your card on, right? When you do that payment, there's a processing fee and a transaction tax as part of it. The person that you're buying from, he takes the hit on that, or he or she, whoever owns the business takes the hit on that, right? So you don't see it, you just see the nice simple transaction. I want those pair of jeans, beep, I've bought them, I've walked away. What you don't understand is that pays a merchant fee. He pays for the device, a fee. He pays the fee for you using your card. He pays a transaction fee. They want to introduce a transaction fee. I want to buy something off a friend. If it's all digital, I have to use my card. I'll pay you. The government takes a 50, a 0. It'll always start off small, 0.1% transaction fee. And then it has once you've accepted it, you've accepted the mark of the beast, it always has the room to grow. So it starts off small, or 0.01, and then it'll be, guys, we've got such a black hole in the finances, it's an emergency. We're going to need to raise that. How can we not? Don't you care about the environment and ethnics and all this lot? So we're going to have to raise it. It's what they do. It's always what they do. And then it's going to be 1%, and then eventually it'll be 5%. And in other words, what will that do? Think about it. Me and you are always in a method of exchange. I buy something from you, you buy something from me. Eventually, that money just collapses. If you think a cash, and I go to the local newsagents and I buy something and I spend £100, that £100 in his hand is still £100. He then gets to spend it, and every time that transfers, it's still £100. When that's digital and they can stick transaction taxes, how many transactions does it take for that money to get to its original value of 0? It's not that many transactions, and it won't be that many. And the idea is the government gets to steal a little bit of wealth every time there's a transaction. Again, look it up. It's something that globalists have mentioned before. Wealth taxes, just assessing what you own and how much you're worth, and then taxing you on it, even if you've not sold it. So just for owning a home, just for owning stocks, just for owning wealth, they want to tax you on it. Whatever you own, they want to look at it all, combine it, and tax you. And the idea is to stop you ever achieving, to stop you getting out of your lane. That's all that would be about. And it's the same with the transaction tax. Once you're digital, it's a new form of taxation. Sorry guys, as you can understand, processing fees, we need to bring that in. It's only fair, right? And it's not a lot, is it? It's only 0.something%. This is the way it's going to go. This is the way that these people want that thing to go. You only have to look at Keir Starmer and how he's a madman. This guy, the fear is in the UK, the left have been moving more and more far left over the years, to the point where, and it's quite funny, I see it in a lot of my comments on some of my shorts. A lot of my shorts go quite viral-ish, and I see it in the comments, he's not left, you don't know what left is, he's centre-right, or I'm like, are you mental? Are you people mental? He's left, he's far left, he's an extremist. People like him want to make being a nationalist the equivalent of being a terrorist. So if you say, I'm proud of who I am and my identity, people like Keir Starmer want to give you 5 years in prison for it. That's the route that he wants to take. That's an extremist in any other book. This is a man who said, let me be clear, men can have cervixes. He's on record as saying that. That's our fantastic Prime Minister in the UK. Who am I to disagree with those statements, especially when it could get me a couple of years in prison? So I'm not going to openly disagree with those statements on camera. However, this is the sort of man that he is. So can you think a guy like that with that type of power, and then a dope like Rachel Reeves, looking at the accounts and looking at ways to tax you on it? Doesn't take a genius to understand where this goes. And when you put 2 and 2 together and you know that these people just want to strip you of wealth, it's not about creating the black hole. I mean, put it into perspective. In the UK, When was the last time that we actually paid down any of our debts, the national debt? It stands to reason, doesn't it? If as a person, if you've got a big debt pile, you want to chip away at it, even if it's small amounts, and you want to get the debt down. We don't ever get the debt down. It's only ever on the increase. Only ever on the increase. So what that means is it's only leading to one thing. It can only lead to one direction. We're only making the interest payments on that debt, so we're just servicing the debt. We're not dreaming of paying it down. Now, smart people want to pay that down. The more you pay it down, the less the interest payments are, the more free money, the more disposable money you have to build your economy, to spend on infrastructure, to spend on actual things that might benefit the British people. I know, crazy concept, but that's what you get to spend it on. So as our debt grows and grows and grows, we're hitting the point of peak saturation where eventually we're not even going to be able to afford the payments just to maintain the debt. The interest payments on our debt are so high now. I forget what they were recently, but they're not far off our entire NHS budget. I think we spend something like 300 billion on the NHS, and our interest payments per year are something like 200 odd billion. Not even to get the debt down, to service the debt, just to make the minimum payments. This is so unsustainable, and it's crazy how little that the general public know about issues like this, about things like this. The country's gone so far down the dogs, and it's crazy to think that there are people who don't know these statistics and don't know what's going on and don't know where this leads to. The UK people, they need to start waking up, and they need to start waking up pretty fast. You know, they really do. So I'm going to leave it on that note, guys. Something to think about. 85% cash down to 9% cash in 30 years it's mind-blowing. It can be reversed, but everybody needs to get involved. You know, you need to get your head in the game. When it's gone, and your life is 100% tracked. Don't fall for it. Get using cash again. Get your friends using cash again where you can. Forget the government and their involvement. Get using cash. Get it to make a comeback. Let's get back to real sound money as well. But that's another story. That's it. Let's get rid of central banking and the ability to create money out of thin air, which is the result of all inflation. I always have to say this. People always think it's big businesses ripping you off. It's not. That inflation comes from the excess money that governments and in conjunction with central banks get to do. I've mentioned that in other videos, guys. Anyway, I'm going to leave it on that note before it turns into a 40-minute rant. But thank you for watching. Stick a comment in the video. Let me know if you still use cash. I hope if you're watching this video that you're awake and that you do still use cash. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.